Hi. Um, a movie that I recently watched as my Saturday night picture was Papillon from 1973, Franklin Schaffner's adaptation of two autobiographical novels by Henri Charrière. Charrière was a criminal who, in the 1930s, had been arrested for murder and sent to the penal colony in French Guiana, known famously as Devil's Island. And it's the story of his internment there, learning to survive in one of the most brutal prison regimes in the world, including spending a total of 7 years in solitary confinement. It's a very well-made film. It's the director Franklin Schaffner is, for some reason, he's not better known as a great filmmaker because he was on a tear from having done Planet of the Apes and Patton Lost to Glory, and then this. So he was a hit maker at the time, and the role of Charrière is taken by Steve McQueen, who's not known as being a great character actor. He's known as being a star. He had the whole King of Cool thing, where everyone, he had an absolute screen image. But his performance as Charrière, known as Papillon because of his butterfly tattoo, is really remarkable. It's a great character performance as you see him age and suffer under this regime over the course of decades. It's the timescale of the film is purposefully very vague. He's supported by Dustin Hoffman as a bookish counterfeiter who he takes under his protection on the crossing over so that he'll keep him alive, and in return he'll underwrite any escapes that Charrière plans. And Charrière plans and executes 2 escapes, and as a result spends the 7 years in solitary. It's 2 years in solitary for your first, 5 for your second, and for your third, the guillotine. My problem with the film, unfortunately, is that it is largely a fantasy. Almost all of Charrière's story has been debunked as being either fantasy or stories that happened to other people while he was in prison. Very little is true. The character of Louis Degas, who is the Dustin Hoffman character, is completely fictitious. And although both the books and the film are an accurate depiction of how incredibly brutal and dehumanizing the regime in Devil's Island was, the actual story itself is a lie. So it's not a film that should be taken as a historical document. It is a portrait, rather, than a biography. But it's a very, very well made, brilliantly acted story. Steve McQueen, based on this, should have had a second career as a character actor. It's a tragedy that he died as young as he did. He was, I believe, 50 when he died, only 7 years after Papillon was released. And he only made another, I think, 5 or 6 films after Papillon. So it's worth seeing, certainly, but it's one taking, I think, with a pinch of salt.